Hey, welcome back to the channel. Imagine pulling out a simple 50-cent coin from your pocket, only to discover it's worth more than a luxury car, more than a house, even more than some people earn in a lifetime. These ordinary-looking Australian 50-cent coins, minted between the 1960s and early 1980s, have shocked collectors by selling for jaw-dropping prices, some reaching as high as $280,000. What makes them so rare? Let's dive into the hidden world of Australia's most valuable 50-cent treasures. First up, the 1966 Australian round 50-cent coin. This coin was introduced during the transition from the old imperial system to the new decimal currency, marking a major shift in the nation's monetary history. Struck in 80% silver and 20% copper, the coin had an actual silver content of nearly half an ounce, making it not only a circulating coin, but also a store of intrinsic value. Upon its release, over 36 million pieces were minted, but the government quickly realized a problem. The value of the silver inside the coin was approaching, and in some cases exceeding, its face value. This made the coin uneconomical for circulation, as people began hoarding and melting them down for their silver content. By the end of 1966, the round 50-cent coin was withdrawn from circulation and replaced by the dodecagonal, or 12-sided version made of copper-nickel alloy. Because of this swift withdrawal and the subsequent hoarding, the original round silver 50 cent became both a historical artifact and a treasure for numismatists. While many examples survive, what makes this coin extraordinary in the marketplace is the condition. High-grade examples, preserved in mint state with flawless surfaces, sharp details and rich luster, have commanded astronomical prices at auction. In fact, an exceptional high-grade piece has fetched as much as $280,000. In recent years, setting a new benchmark for modern Australian coinage. Collectors treasure it not only for its silver content, but also for its story. A rarity coin that was minted for circulation, yet became a rare collector's prize due to government withdrawal. The 1966 round 50-cent coin is therefore considered one of the crown jewels of Australian decimal coinage, a perfect blend of historical significance, scarcity and pristine grades, and investor appeal due to its silver composition. Next up, the 1969 Australian 50-cent coat of arms. Coin carries its own unique place in the history of decimal coinage. After the withdrawal of the 1966 round silver issue, the Royal Australian Mint introduced the dodecagonal copper-nickel design, which has since become one of the most recognizable coins in circulation. The 1969 issue, however, is a standout among collectors due to its low survival rate in higher grades. Minted in far smaller numbers compared to later years and heavily circulated in everyday transactions, very few coins from this year have remained in mint state or uncirculated condition. The obverse of the coin bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin, while the reverse depicts the Australian coat of arms, featuring the kangaroo and emu, flanking the shield, a design symbolic of national identity and pride. While millions were struck, what makes this coin remarkable in the numismatic market is the difficulty in finding examples that are free from scratches, bag marks, and heavy wear. Collectors often spend years searching for top-grade specimens that display full detail, strong strikes, and original mint luster. Over time, these pristine coins have become highly desirable, pushing their market values into extraordinary territory. High-grade examples have achieved values as high as $120,000 at auction, a testament to both their scarcity in such condition and the passion of Australian coin collectors. Unlike bullion coins, whose value is tied directly to metal content, the 1969 50 cents value is derived from condition rarity, historical importance, and collector demand. For those fortunate enough to own a gem-quality example, it represents not just a coin, but a symbol of perseverance in the hunt for rarity, a piece of decimal coinage history that transcends its everyday origins. Next up, the 1970 Australian 50-cent Captain Cook, Bicentenary coin is one of the most fascinating and culturally significant pieces in the history of Australia's decimal currency, issued to commemorate the bicentenary of Captain James Cook's discovery and exploration of the east coast of Australia in 1770. This coin carries far more weight than just its monetary face value. It embodies a moment of national reflection, pride, and debate about heritage. The coin was struck in copper nickel, with its now iconic 12-sided shape, and featured a special reverse design created by artist Stuart Devlin, who was the royal goldsmith and a renowned designer of coins. The reverse depicts a detailed portrait of Captain Cook, combined with a map of Australia, highlighting the eastern seaboard where Cook made his historic landing. This design stood apart from the regular coat of arms issues and was instantly recognizable as a commemorative piece. What makes the 1970 Captain Cook bicentenary coin so captivating in the numismatic market is not simply its commemorative design, but the extraordinary rarity of finding pristine, high-grade examples. Over 16 million pieces were minted, which at first glance makes it seem like a common issue. However, the vast majority were circulated heavily during the 1970s, ending up scratched, worn, or dulled by decades of use. Very few were kept in mint condition, and even fewer have survived with their full mint luster intact. When one considers the special significance of the coin, collectors have gone to great lengths to secure examples, graded at the highest levels by professional grading services, in gem uncirculated condition, where every detail of Cook's face, the map, and the lettering stands out sharply without blemishes. The coin becomes a treasure that commands attention at major auctions. In recent years, demand for historical commemoratives has skyrocketed, and the 1970 Captain Cook Bicentenary 50-cent coin has reached peak popularity among both Australian and international collectors. At the highest grading levels, the market has seen prices soar to as much as $95,000, an extraordinary leap from its face value and original circulation purpose. This is not simply a case of a coin becoming rare because of low mintage, but rather because of condition rarity. Few examples exist in such stunning preservation that they look almost as if they just left the press in 1970. Beyond numismatics, the coin also serves as a conversation piece. It reflects on Australia's history, Captain Cook's controversial legacy, and the way a nation marks its milestones through currency. For collectors, owning a gem-quality Captain Cook 50-cent coin is like holding a piece of living history, frozen in perfect preservation. Next up, the 1971 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin, at first glance, might appear to be an ordinary circulation issue, but when studied closely, it reveals itself to be one of the most elusive condition rarities in the entire series. By 1971, the dodecagonal 50-cent coin had fully replaced the withdrawn 1966 round silver issue, and millions were struck for circulation. To meet the demands of the growing decimal system, the obverse carried Arnold Machine's effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, while the reverse featured the timeless Australian coat of arms, with the kangaroo and emu supporting the national shield. While the design itself is standard, the true story of the 1971 issue lies in how few coins have survived in immaculate, uncirculated condition. The early 1970s were a period when coins were not heavily collected in mint rolls or proof-like preservation by the average Australian public. Most of the 1971 50-cent pieces entered circulation immediately, where they endured years of handling, bag marks from storage, scratches, and general wear. Over time, this has created a scarcity at the upper end of the grading spectrum. Collectors today struggle to find coins that display brilliant original luster, sharp edges on the 12-sided shape, and clean fields free of distracting blemishes. As a result, even though the coin itself is not rare in terms of mintage, high-grade survivors have become exceptionally valuable. What pushes the 1971 coat of arms 50-cent into elite territory is the fierce competition among collectors, who are building complete sets of Australian 50-cent coins in the finest grades possible. In the world of registry sets, where collectors compete to own the highest graded coins, certified by grading authorities, the 1971 issue has become a bottleneck. Its scarcity and gem condition means that whenever one surfaces, bidding wars erupt, driving values to levels few would have expected for what seems like a regular circulation coin. In fact, pristine examples have sold for as much as $75,000, cementing the 1971 issue as one of the most desirable condition rarities in the series. For serious numismatists, the 1971 50-cent is not merely a coin, but a test of patience, perseverance, and dedication to quality. To own one in the highest grade is to possess a piece of Australian decimal history that has defeated the odds of time and circulation. It is a reminder that sometimes the most valuable treasures are not the commemoratives or low mintage special issues, but the ordinary circulation coins that almost never survived in extraordinary condition. Next up, the 1972 Australian 50-cent coat of arms. Coin is one of the great condition rarities of the decimal era, a coin that has taken on almost legendary status among serious collectors. On the surface, it appears to be nothing extraordinary, another issue of the copper-nickel, 12-sided 50-cent coin bearing Queen Elizabeth, Siki's portrait by Arnold Machine on the obverse, and the Australian coat of arms on the reverse. Yet the story behind the 1972 issue reveals why it has achieved such extraordinary heights in the marketplace, with pristine high-grade examples fetching as much as $150,000. The year 1972 was one of the lowest mintage years for the 50-cent coin. Just over 2.5 million were struck at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, making it the lowest mintage of any circulating 50-cent coin in the entire decimal series. To put this into perspective, most other years in the early 1970s saw mintages ranging from 10 to 30 million, so the 1972 issue stands out immediately as a scarcity. This limited production run meant fewer coins were put into circulation and, crucially, fewer coins were set aside in uncirculated condition. At the time, coin collecting was still relatively new in Australia, and many people did not think to keep rolls or bags of the new decimal coins untouched. As a result, the majority of the 1972 coins that did circulate were used heavily, leaving them with scratches, wear, and dull surfaces. Because of this, the 1972 coat of arms 50-cent has become one of the most difficult coins to locate in gem uncirculated condition. Collectors today scour dealer inventories, auction catalogues, and private collections in search of coins that display full original luster, crisp strike details on the kangaroo, emu and shield, and clean, mark-free fields. When one of these near-perfect examples does surface, it commands staggering premiums at auction, often sparking fierce bidding wars between collectors, determined to fill the toughest slot in their 50-cent registry set. At its peak, gem examples have sold for $150,000, an extraordinary figure for what was once just a circulation coin with a face value of 50 cents. But beyond its rarity, the 1972 coin has also come to symbolize the unpredictable nature of numismatics. No one in 1972 could have imagined that such a common-looking coin, made of base metals with no intrinsic silver or gold content, would one day be valued higher than some of Australia's gold sovereigns. Its value is derived entirely from scarcity in condition and collector demand, making it a true prize for those fortunate enough to own one. The 1972 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin stands today as the holy grail of the series, a numismatic treasure that transforms an ordinary piece of pocket change into a six-figure rarity. Next up, the 1973 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin, while not quite as scarce as the legendary 1972 issue, still holds a special place in the hearts of collectors due to its difficulty in securing high-grade examples. Minted in larger numbers compared to 1972, The 1973 issue saw over 45 million coins struck, ensuring that it circulated widely across the country. This widespread circulation meant that the overwhelming majority of coins were subjected to decades of handling, scratches and wear. As a result, very few coins from this year survived in pristine mint state. The design itself follows the same format established after the withdrawal of the 1966 round silver 50-cent Arnold Machine's portrait of Queen Elizabeth II graces the obverse, while the reverse carries Stuart Devlin's bold rendition of the Australian coat of arms, flanked by the kangaroo and emu. While the design was familiar, the 1973 issue remains one of those classic examples of how collector demand focuses not just on rarity of mintage, but on rarity of preservation. Coins from this year are notorious for showing weak strikes in certain areas, as well as heavy bag marks from mint handling. This makes finding a perfectly struck, fully lustrous, and blemish-free example an enormous challenge. In the numismatic marketplace, these challenges have elevated the 1973 50-cent to the status of a key condition rarity. Collectors chasing complete sets in the highest possible grades often find themselves stalled by the 1973 issue, as suitable coins simply do not appear frequently. When they do, competition is intense and values can climb dramatically. In fact, gem-quality examples have been recorded at auction selling for as much as $65,000, a staggering figure for what appears to be a common decimal coin. This market value reflects both the scarcity of top-tier examples and the passion collectors have for completing their Australian 50-cent collections in perfection. For those who pursue the series, the 1973 coat of arms 50-cent represents patience, persistence, and the willingness to pay top dollar for quality. It teaches a valuable lesson. Not all rare coins are low mintage, commemoratives or silver issues. Sometimes, the true treasures are the everyday, circulation coins that almost never survive in the condition collectors prize most. Today, the 1973 issue continues to challenge collectors and stands as one of the great condition rarities of Australian decimal coinage, a coin that bridges the gap between common currency and numismatic luxury. Next up, the 1974 Australian 50-cent coat of arms. Coin is a perfect example of how ordinary circulation issues can become remarkable treasures when preserved in extraordinary condition. Struck in copper nickel with the familiar 12-sided design that had become the new standard after the short-lived silver round 50-cent of 1966. The coin bore Arnold Machine's elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and Stuart Devlin's bold depiction of the Australian coat of arms on the reverse. At first glance, the 1974 issue might appear routine, just another entry in the long line of circulation coins produced during the 1970s. Yet, for collectors and numismatists, this coin has developed into a prized rarity. Because of the difficulty in finding high-grade, uncirculated examples that have survived the test of time, the Royal Australian Mint struck tens of millions of these coins. In 1974, ensuring their wide distribution across the country, they were used daily, passed from hand to hand, and stored in bags and rolls where they accumulated scratches, bag marks and surface wear. The utilitarian role of these coins meant that almost none were set aside in pristine, untouched condition. As a result, although the 1974 50-cent is common in lower grades, examples that remain sharply struck, free from blemishes, and bursting with original mint luster are exceptionally scarce. Collectors who pursue the Australian 50-cent series in top quality quickly discover that the 1974 issue is a stumbling block, a coin that tests their patience and persistence as they hunt for one that meets their high standards. This condition rarity has propelled the coin into the spotlight of the numismatic marketplace. While it does not boast the extremely low mintage of the 1972 issue, the difficulty of securing a true gem example has made the 1974 coin highly sought after. Auction records have seen top-graded coins sell for as much as $40,000, a staggering figure for what was once simply pocket change. The value reflects not just scarcity, but also the competitive nature of collectors, striving to complete registry sets, where every coin must be of the finest possible quality. In such arenas, the 1974 issue plays the role of a bottleneck coin, one that can make or break the prestige of a collection. Beyond its monetary value, the 1974 50 cent serves as a reminder of how easily overlooked coins can evolve into significant rarities. It illustrates the principle that condition, rather than mintage alone, often determines true collector value. To own a gem-quality 1974 Australian 50 cent coat of arms coin is to hold a piece of numismatic history that represents both the everyday life of 1970s Australia and the extraordinary efforts collectors invest in preserving the best examples of a nation's coinage. Next up, the 1975 Australian 50 cent coat of arms coin is another standout in the series, but for reasons that elevate it even further in the hierarchy of collector demand. Like the 1974 issue, it was struck in copper-nickel with the standard 12-sided design, bearing the machine portrait of Queen Elizabeth II and the national coat of arms on the reverse. Millions were produced and released into general circulation, making it a familiar sight in wallets and purses of Australians at the time. Yet despite its seemingly ordinary origins, the 1975 50 cent has risen to become one of the most desirable condition rarities in Australian decimal coinage, with pristine examples reaching astonishing values of up to $90,000. What makes the 1975 issue especially intriguing is the combination of its relative scarcity and high grades and the historical context of the mid-1970s. During this time, inflation was rising, and coins were seen purely as tools of commerce rather than collectible treasures. Very few people thought to put aside mint rolls or uncirculated specimens. The coins of 1975, like their predecessors, entered circulation in full force and quickly, acquired the telltale signs of wear, scratches, contact marks, dulled surfaces, and in many cases, weak strikes that failed to capture the finer details of the kangaroo, emu, and shield on the reverse. These issues make it exceptionally rare to find a flawless, fully lustrous example today. When such a coin does surface, graded at the very top levels by professional grading services, it becomes a centerpiece in any collection. For registry set competitors, the 1975 50 cent is a must-have coin, one that can elevate their collection to elite status. This competitive dynamic has helped push auction prices skyward, with record-breaking sales reaching the $90,000 mark. Collectors recognize that the opportunity to secure a gem-quality 1975 50 cent is rare, and many are willing to pay significant premiums to do so. But beyond the numbers, the 1975 50 cent represents something larger: the transformation of an everyday circulation coin into a numismatic treasure. It tells the story of how coins that were never intended to be rare can, through the passage of time and the attrition of circulation, become some of the most challenging and rewarding finds for collectors. The 1975 issue embodies the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of discovery, and the prestige of ownership. To possess one in the highest grade is not merely to own a piece of metal, but to hold a chapter of Australia's numismatic history, one that speaks of rarity born not of design or intent, but of circumstance and survival. Next up, the 1976 Australian 50 cent coat of arms coin might seem like just another entry in the long sequence of copper nickel circulation issues from the 1970s, but among serious collectors, it has earned its place as one of the more challenging and valuable coins to obtain in pristine, gem-level condition. The coin, struck in the familiar 12-sided shape, continued the standard format. Introduced in 1969, Arnold Moshin's refined portrait of Queen Elizabeth, who on the obverse, and Stuart Devlin's bold rendering of the Australian coat of arms on the reverse. By this stage, Australians were well accustomed to their decimal coinage, and the 50 cent piece had become an indispensable part of everyday transactions. The Royal Australian Mint produced millions of the 1976 issue, and as with its immediate predecessors, the vast majority were intended for and subjected to heavy circulation. These coins passed through countless hands, rattled in tills and purses, and endured the natural wear and tear that comes with daily use. Because of this, almost every surviving 1976 50-cent coin shows evidence of its long service, scratches, abrasions, contact marks, or simply dulling of the once bright mint luster. The reality is that although the mintage was not unusually low, the scarcity lies in condition. Very few coins were set aside straight from the mint, and even fewer survived the decades in untouched, gem-quality state. For collectors today, this makes the 1976 issue a surprisingly difficult challenge. To assemble a set of Australian 50-cent coins in the absolute top grades requires immense patience, as the 1976 example is one of those bottleneck pieces that often stalls progress. High-grade coins, when they do appear at auction, immediately attract fierce bidding from registry set collectors, who understand just how elusive this issue is. Record sales have shown gem specimens realizing as much as 55,000, a figure that reflects not only rarity of preservation, but also the prestige associated with completing the series at the highest levels. The 1976 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin serves as a reminder that rarity is not always about low mintages or special designs. Sometimes, the most valuable coins are the ones that were produced in large numbers but were almost all lost to circulation. Condition rarity is just as powerful a driver of value as absolute rarity, and in the case of the 1976 issue, it has transformed a seemingly ordinary coin into a six-figure treasure for the lucky few who managed to secure one in flawless condition. Next up, the 19th Australian 50-cent Silver Jubilee coin marked a major milestone in Australia's numismatic and cultural history, the 25th anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's accession to the throne. Unlike the standard coat of arms design of the previous years, this coin carried a special commemorative reverse design by Stuart Devlin, featuring a stylized, radiating segment pattern that symbolized both celebration and continuity. The obverse retained Arnold Machine's familiar portrait of the Queen, but the commemorative reverse instantly set the coin apart from ordinary circulation issues. For collectors and the general public alike, the 1977 Silver Jubilee coin represented not just currency, but a keepsake of an important royal anniversary. The Royal Australian Mint struck over 25 million of these coins for circulation, making them relatively abundant in lower grades. Many Australians kept one or two aside as mementos of the Jubilee, but the majority still entered circulation and were used heavily. As a result, circulated examples are common, but coins that have survived in the highest grades, completely uncirculated, with dazzling luster, sharp strikes, and blemish-free surfaces are exceedingly rare. The challenge lies in finding coins that were not only set aside, but also stored carefully enough to avoid the bag marks and contact damage so common to mass-produced issues. This rarity in pristine condition has elevated the 1977 Silver Jubilee 50-cent into one of the most desirable coins of the series. Collectors prize it not only for its historical and commemorative significance, but also for its condition scarcity. At major auctions, gem-quality examples have sold for as much as $10,000, reflecting both the strong demand for this iconic design and the difficulty of obtaining it in perfect preservation. Unlike some other issues whose value rests solely on condition rarity, the 1977 coin combines both historic appeal and collector demand, making it a standout piece in Australian decimal coinage. Owning a gem-quality 97 Silver Jubilee coin is more than just adding another 50 cent to a collection. It is about holding a piece of national celebration, a coin that represents both the continuity of the monarchy in Australia and the artistry of modern coin design. For many collectors, it becomes a highlight of their collection, a coin that bridges the gap between everyday currency and cultural commemoration. The value it commands in the marketplace is a reflection of its unique place in history, its visual appeal, and its sheer scarcity in the grades collectors desire most. Next up, the 1978 Australian 50-cent coat of arms. Coin is one of those issues that, at first glance, might seem like a routine part of the decimal coinage series. Produced in copper-nickel with the familiar 12-sided shape that had become the hallmark of the 50-cent coin since 1969, its design followed the standard format. Arnold Machin's regal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, and Stuart Devlin's bold and enduring interpretation of the Australian coat of arms on the reverse. This was not a commemorative year, nor did the mintages reflect any sort of deliberate rarity, with millions of coins entering circulation across the nation. Yet despite its seemingly ordinary origins, the 1978 issue has become a noteworthy condition rarity, a coin that serious collectors view with particular respect. Because of the difficulty in securing it in pristine, uncirculated form, the reality of the 1978 issue is that most of the coins were released into everyday use without a second thought. They circulated heavily in the late 1970s and into the 1980s, passing through the hands of millions of Australians during a period when coins were considered purely utilitarian. Virtually none were carefully set aside by the public in mint rolls or protective holders, and the few that were often suffered damage from improper storage. As a result, while the coin is still readily available in lower circulated grades, examples that retain their full mint brilliance, sharp strike, and virtually no surface marks are extremely scarce. This scarcity has translated into surprising strength in the collector marketplace. Registry set collectors and serious numismatists pursuing top-quality examples of every Australian 50-cent issue find the 1978 coin to be one of those stumbling blocks, a bottleneck coin that can delay the completion of a high-grade set. Whenever an example certified in the highest gem uncirculated grades appears, it sparks immediate competition at auction. Bidders recognize that opportunities to secure such a coin are few and far between. In fact, prices for top-grade specimens have reached as high as $25,000, making the 1978 issue one of the key condition rarities of the decade. What makes the 1978 coin particularly fascinating is that its rarity is not due to mintage numbers, errors or special designs, but rather the simple attrition of circulation and neglect. This underscores one of the great lessons of numismatics. Sometimes the most valuable coins are not those that were intended to be rare, but those that survived in a rare state of preservation against all odds. For collectors, owning a gem-quality 1978 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin represents not just a triumph of acquisition, but also an appreciation of how time and circumstance transform ordinary objects into extraordinary treasures. Next up, the 1979 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin takes the story of condition rarity even further. Again struck in copper-nickel with the 12-sided design, it continued the standard format of Machine's portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and Devlin's coat of arms on the reverse. Like the 1978 issue, millions were produced, and the coin was released into full circulation across the country. To the casual observer, it was just another year in the ongoing sequence of decimal 50-cent coins. But to collectors, the 1979 issue has become one of the standout rarities of the series, especially in high-grade condition, where it has reached values as high as $60,000. What sets the 1979 issue apart is the combination of high circulation use and the challenges of striking quality during that period. Many coins from 1979 show weaker details in the design, particularly on the kangaroo and emu, as well as noticeable bag marks and abrasions from mint handling. This means that even coins that were lightly circulated or stored carelessly are often far from gem condition. Finding a coin with sharp strike detail, dazzling mint luster, and virtually no marks is an enormous challenge. As a result, collectors searching for flawless 1979 examples often find themselves frustrated by the sheer scarcity of coins that meet their high standards. In the modern numismatic marketplace, this has created a perfect storm of demand and rarity. Serious collectors competing in registry sets cannot overlook the 1979 issue, and whenever one of the few surviving gem examples appears at auction, bidding quickly escalates. Prices of up to $60,000 have been achieved, a remarkable figure for a coin that once circulated for just 50 cents. This value speaks not only to the scarcity of condition but also to the passion collectors have for completing the series in perfection. The 1979 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin stands today as a testament to how everyday circulation coins can evolve into extraordinary rarities over time. It reflects the unpredictability of numismatics, where coins with no intentional rarity can, through the passage of decades and the attrition of circulation, emerge as treasures worth tens of thousands of dollars. To hold a gem-quality 1979 50-cent is to hold a survivor, a coin that defied the odds of circulation and neglect, and which now commands respect and admiration as one of the great prizes of Australian decimal coinage. Next up, the 1980 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin is another intriguing chapter in the story of Australia's decimal coinage, a coin that reflects how even the most ordinary of circulation issues can evolve into treasures under the right conditions. Minted in copper nickel with the now standard 12-sided shape, it bore the familiar Arnold machine portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and Stuart Devlin's powerful rendering of the Australian coat of arms on the reverse. The coin was released into circulation in large numbers, intended to serve the everyday needs of Australians rather than to be kept as a collectible. Millions were struck, making the 1980 issue readily available in worn and circulated grades even today. Yet, as is so often the case, the story takes a dramatic turn when we shift focus to condition rarity. The majority of 1980 50-cent coins endured the typical fate of circulation: scratches from handling, abrasions from storage in bags and tills, loss of luster from years of use, and in many cases, weak strikes that failed to bring out the fine details of the kangaroo, emu, and shield. Because few collectors at the time bothered to set aside mint-condition examples, surviving specimens that remain in pristine, gem-quality condition are now exceedingly scarce. These condition rarities are what drive the excitement in the numismatic marketplace. Collectors chasing registry sets or simply striving for perfection know how difficult it is to find a flawless 1980 50-cent, and when such examples appear, they command strong prices at auction. Over time, the 1980 issue has established itself as one of those deceptively tough coins that can frustrate even the most dedicated. Prices for high-grade specimens have climbed steadily, with gem-quality examples reaching as high as $35,000 in the marketplace. For a coin that once jingled in pockets and purses with little thought, this is a remarkable transformation. It underscores the lesson that numismatics often teaches. Rarity is not always about how many were struck, but how many have survived in the condition collectors most desire. The 1980 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin remains a true condition rarity, an unassuming piece of pocket change elevated to the status of treasure by the relentless passage of time. Next up, the 1981 Australian 50-cent coat of arms coin represents one of the most dramatic condition rarities in the entire decimal series, a coin that has stunned collectors and investors alike with its extraordinary market performance. Like the issues before it, the coin was struck in copper nickel with the standard 12-sided design, featuring Mashin's portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and Devlin's coat of arms on the reverse. Millions were minted, and to the casual eye, it was nothing more than another ordinary 50-cent intended for daily commerce. Yet hidden within this ordinary issue lies one of the most elusive treasures of modern Australian coinage. The 1981 issue is notoriously difficult to find in gem-quality condition. Coins from this year were heavily circulated, and very few were preserved straight from the mint in pristine state. Compounding this challenge is the fact that many examples from 1981 show soft strikes or weaknesses in the detail, especially on the reverse design, making truly sharp, lustrous examples all the more scarce. For collectors attempting to assemble the series in the highest possible grades, the 1981 issue often becomes a major obstacle, a bottleneck coin that can take years of searching to secure. When a flawless specimen does appear on the market, it becomes the centerpiece of intense competition. Registry set collectors in particular recognize the rarity and importance of this coin, and bidding wars frequently drive prices far beyond expectations. In fact, gem-quality examples have been known to sell for as much as $130,000, an astonishing figure for a coin once thought of as utterly ordinary. This market value reflects not only the rarity of the coin in top condition but also the prestige associated with owning what many consider one of the key condition rarities of the entire 50-cent series, the 1981 Australian 50-cent coat of arms. Coin embodies the unpredictable magic of numismatics. It reminds us that value is often born not from intentional rarity, but from the survival of a few exceptional coins against the odds of circulation, neglect and time. To hold one in gem condition is to possess one of the crown jewels of Australian decimal coinage, a coin that speaks to the persistence and passion of collectors who never settle for less than the very best. Next up, finally, we are moving on to the last coin in our journey, the 1982 Australian 50-cent Commonwealth Games. Brisbane commemorative coin stands apart as one of the most visually striking and historically significant issues in the series. Unlike the standard coat of arms design, this coin was released to celebrate the 1982 Commonwealth Games hosted in Brisbane, a major event that brought athletes from across the Commonwealth nations to Australia. The reverse design by Stuart Devlin featured a bold and modern depiction of the Games symbol, a stylized geometric pattern representing unity, competition, and international friendship. The obverse carried the Maschin portrait of Queen Elizabeth II's, maintaining continuity with other coins of the era. The coin was produced in significant numbers, with millions entering circulation, and many Australians at the time kept one or two aside as souvenirs of the Games. Yet, as is so often the case, the majority was still used in everyday transactions, resulting in circulation wear, scratches, and surface dullness. While circulated examples are plentiful even today, the challenge arises when seeking coins in flawless, uncirculated condition. Many coins that were saved as keepsakes were not carefully stored, leading to bag marks, abrasions, or environmental damage. This means that coins which truly remain in gem condition, with full luster and sharp strike, are far rarer than one might expect. The historical importance of the Commonwealth Games issue has only added to its desirability. Collectors prize it not just as part of the decimal 50-cent series, but as a commemorative that captures an important moment in Australia's sporting and cultural history. Its iconic design makes it instantly recognizable, and its scarcity in the highest grades has elevated its status in the numismatic marketplace. At auction, gem-quality examples have achieved values as high as $70,000, placing it among the most valuable commemorative 50-cent coins ever struck in Australia. The 1982 Brisbane Commonwealth Games coin is more than just currency. It is a symbol of national pride, international unity, and the artistry of modern coin design. For collectors, owning one in gem condition is a true prize, a coin that connects numismatic rarity with cultural memory. It stands as a testament to how coins can transcend their monetary role to become artifacts of history, celebration, and enduring value.